Oh, my bad. Where it comes to the beat. I was looking at TikTok.
I knew that.
Alright, let's get started. I know that I collected before some of y'all were ready, but based on Group 6's consistent talking without doing any work, I assume we're all ready.
Are we group 6?
Tomorrow when we come into class, we're going to have new groups thanks to Group 6.
Yay.
Oh. They're going to put me by more, my friend.
Because here's the thing, are we allowed to talk about math?
Yeah.
Yeah, are we allowed to just run our mouths about anything that we want?
Yeah.
No.
To our
So tomorrow we will have new groups, and I know some of us were working well, but I have one group in particular who cannot seem to focus. Apparently I put two good of friends together, and that's my fault.
Two.
T-O-O, not the number.
Oh, my bad.
Two good of friends. Guys, if you are not talking about the math, you are not learning. I need you to remember that. If you are not talking about the math, you're not learning. And if you want to pass my class, you got to learn something. I want you to be successful, but you got to make a choice to be better. Matthew, what was your question or statement?
Since they're getting in trouble with them, can you just split them up?
What he say?
Yes.
I will say this, I might keep some of the groups intact and just move Group 3 or Group 6 throughout. We'll see. But some of us need to be prepared to come in and see different groups. So, what type of angles do we have on the board? Alright, we got vertical angles. Which I will say, do they look vertical?
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
In a way.
Well, yeah, but like,
If
they're not.
Now, so I want you to remember, a pair of vertical angles means that they are what to each other?
They opposite.
Across.
Opposite. They
Opposite sides.
Okay, hold on. Let's raise our hands because we're talking over each other instead of being respectful and listening. Rose, what are you trying to say?
Oh no, I was trying to say
Okay, Alana? Now everyone's all scared?
Was it like across from each other?
Say that one more time.
Across from each other?
Okay. Vertical angles are across from each other, meaning they are opposite within their own little section. Now I will point this out. These two angles are opposite each other. These are vertical angles. So what do we know the measure of this angle is?
the same thing as the
It's the same, so it is
3x minus 15.
3x minus 15. And what do we know about these two angles?
That they're also congruent.
How do we know they're congruent? They're what type of angles?
Because they're on the same side of the transversal. I mean,
They let you appear?
We're just saying stuff now, guys.
Oh, God.
what? They're on the same side of the parallel.
Okay, hold on, but
on the same side of the transversal.
they are on the same side of the transversal, but we need to be careful. We need to pay attention to this. Consecutive interior were actually supplementary. Notice that's obtuse and that is acute, right? The consecutive interior were supplementary. Consecutive interior were actually the only angles that were supplementary. Remember, I could take this section here and I could translate it down to here. And those would be in where? Same spot. Those are called what kind of angles?
Corresponding.
Corresponding. Right? If I were to take this section, I would translate it down, those would be in the same spot. Those would be corresponding angles. And corresponding angles are what?
Equal. The same.
The angles, remember, are congruent. Their measures are what, Gabe?
Equal.
Equal, right? The angles are congruent, meaning they match to each other, but their measures are equal. And so, regardless, though, I do want you to notice, we can use some of those other relationships, but the vast majority of us said alternate exterior. Could someone explain to us what we mean by alternate?
Exterior.
Okay,
Down the
so
opposite
alternate sides of the,
Transversal.
notice this is on the side above the transversal, this is
Lower.
below the transversal. Gabe, what do we mean by exterior?
Outside.
Outside the what?
Parallel.
So we got our parallel lines and we're outside the parallel lines. If you were to think about it as a field goal, you missed the field goal, right? You're outside those parallel lines. Okay? And so those are exterior. And remember, I just said this, consecutive interior are the only ones that are what?
Inside of the parallel line.
Supplementary. So all the other ones, including this alternate exterior, are
Supplementary.
remember, consecutive interior were the only ones that were what? Supplementary. So everything else, well, and linear pairs, right? Linear pairs and consecutive interior, those are the only supplementary ones. Everything else then is what? Congruent.
Congruent.
Okay? Not complementary. Actually, none of the angle relationships are complementary. They're either congruent or supplementary. Okay? And so what did most of us put? Most of us put supplementary. Most of us put congruent. Okay? Gotcha. No, I mean, that's fine. But please notice, okay? And once again, I need y'all to hear me very clearly on this. Is it okay to make mistakes?
Yes.
Yes. But you have to investigate and you have to understand where you made the mistakes and how to fix it. So do not get frustrated about mistakes, but learn from it, be willing to grow, and then you will always be able to improve. It does not matter where you currently are, it matters where you end up. And if you learn to grow from your mistakes, if you learn to get better as a result of your mistakes, mistakes are amazing, okay? So we are looking at congruent angles. They are both obtuse. And so I imagine this last one we're kind of all over the place. Let's find out. What is the value of x?
I put 4.
Y'all, this is ridiculous.
Which one down?
Can anyone tell me what's ridiculous about this?
There's only
We didn't go up.
5 people. Five people.
5 people?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I see it.
So, you have 2 minutes. I'm going to send this back out. You have 2 minutes to figure out this answer. Go.
That's not even completed. Not even, no.
I am redistributing it to the class, so you should have it pop up.
Oh, that's minus 15.
You should get exactly yours back.
Mine said go to.
You got 2 minutes to use what we talked about. This is how you get a 0 for the day. This is how you get a 0 for the day. Which one? Show me. So you guessed.
I mean, whoa, wait.
Work with each other. Write stuff down. You need to show some work.
that plus.
That is a play.
Oh, never mind.
What are you
looking?
I got it. What do you know about the angles? They are what?
Wait.
If they're
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I mean, if you take it out, I know, right?
Here.
No, it's not. Yes.
You're typing. It's not.
You got about 60 more seconds. Work with each other. Come on.
Which one? Hey,
I got my answer.
which one is it?
What do you know about the angles?
Stop, bro. It's right here.
That's, were you logged in earlier? That's weird.
You ain't sticking it right.
We don't stop.
You gotta stick it right. Mine's not popping up.
It's not popping up.
We out.
No, it's right there.
You should not be getting this one.
I told you. There's no way.
27.
No, that's not. Isn't that? Doesn't it say 3x? Minus 15 at the top?
Huh?
3x minus 15.
3x minus 15. I don't know where it is.
And x plus 12.
And x plus 12.
I ain't do nothing on calculator, bro.
I lied, you would get a decimal, but not 13.59.
No, I got 13.5.
That makes more sense.
don't know where it's at.
I didn't mean to put 9.
Doing that.
Oh, so I mean, gotta change my top.
What's the answer?
Yeah.
I'm about to say, cause they ain't gonna get damn.
He said like, no man, Gucci.
You are shooting my mom.
Don't look at me.
I don't care.
Wait, but there's still an X on this.
Don't try.
We should be sad right now. We don't see get tomorrow.
Your phone's
How is that money? Hey, Brandon, pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. Please. Thank you. Thank you. Why you just not all my shirt? You missed the game. You want to worry? Why she cheating on me? Why she cheating on you?
No, shut your.
Why you? Never mind.
That's not your food.
I got one for myself.
Not looking back there.
You can't be doing them like that.
Alright, let's get talking about it. I'm about to collect it one more time, see if we have some better answers.
Same answer.
That girl got cracky. You got the crack going. Hold up, you can't hit something.
Alright,
Or one.
so, guys, can get your head up. There we go.
Thank you.
We have some answers at least now. Got 13.5 pretty regularly. Okay, it's interesting. Got a 45.75 from a couple people. Let's look at that one. Would anybody who did 45.75 care to tell us how they got there?
I'm checking out. What you asked for?
Thanks, Kelsey.
I don't have mine.
Tell us how you got 45.75.
No, Matthew did it too.
Matthew, how'd you get it? Come on.
We both did it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Say I did this.
First off, you did it by taking the wrong
Yeah, he did
markers.
that.
How'd you do it, Matthew?
Do a little thing,
3x
baby.
minus 15. Stop!
That wasn't me this time.
Hold up. Are we in elementary school or are we in high school?
Group 6 is throwing stuff.
That was Group 6 ain't though.
Austin, move up here. Josh, move over here.
Oh wait, where I need to
And
move?
Gabe, move over here to group 3.
Where I need to move? Where?
Austin, group 2. Josh, group
That
1.
ain't my girlfriend.
Gabe, group 3. Let's go.
You just said you cheated on me. You know you lied. You know you lied, Gabe.
So, Matthew, 3x minus 15, then what'd you do?
Plus X plus 12.
Plus x plus 12.
And then equals 1.
Okay.
And
Does anyone want to push back on this idea or do we all agree? Alana?
It is 3x minus 15 is equal to x plus 12.
Okay, you've given me an alternative, but what's your reasoning?
Because the angles are congruent, so they have the same
So they're the same what?
measure.
Measure? Okay. Matthew, what do you think about her idea?
yeah, that's not good.
So you agree with her now?
I don't know, yeah.
Kelsey, what do you think?
She's
I don't
fine.
know.
Do you not know or do you not want to try to guess?
I know you don't know.
Did you hear what she said? What did she say?
She said because they're congruent, they're gonna equal the same.
Okay, so do you agree that they're congruent or do you want to stand by what y'all did?
No.
No?
I agree.
You agree? Okay, so what were y'all originally saying that these angles were? That they were what? Supplementary.
I don't know.
And this is important. Are these angles supplementary?
No.
No, they are congruent. Sorry, what did you want to say?
I was gonna say that I thought alternate sphere couldn't be something.
Correct, and that's what I want us to see. is that alternate exterior cannot be supplementary. They are always congruent, which means they're equal. So hopefully a lot of us get there now. And so let's pay attention to that. I do want to talk about something right here. 4x minus 27. So I've seen a lot of students start to do this, and we need to quit. Right now, first off, if you had this, you might want to simplify it, which you can use a commutative property to help you with that. But I have seen a lot of students take this right here and rewrite that as minus 27. I want everybody to pick up a calculator right now and type in negative 15 plus 12.
It's negative 3.
Negative 15 plus 12. Put in your calculator. I am not responding until everyone puts in their calculator.
I put it in my calculator already. It's already right here.
Well, Matthew definitely has not.
I did.
Put it in.
Mine right here.
Thank you.
Wait, what you said?
Negative 15 plus 12.
I was right here.
Okay? Do we get negative 27?
Nope.
No.
It's actually 4x minus 3.
Okay. So, please hear me. I totally understand this mistake. What mistake is this person making?
He's adding 3x plus x, and then well, he or she is doing negative 15 plus 12, which they think is 27, but it's not.
Okay, but you just told me what they did. Why does this person probably think 27?
Probably think like the trashing sign.
Because they didn't use a calculator.
Okay, maybe they didn't use a calculator.
Or maybe they do out of the whole metric over there because
Well,
They try to do it in their head.
maybe. But I want you to notice this. Let's say I ignore that minus. What is 15 plus 12?
27.
27. But can I just ignore that minus?
no.
No. That is a negative 15 or a minus 15 plus 12. If you are not simplifying these expressions correctly, there is no way for you to get the right answer. Pick up a calculator. It is too easy to do negative 15 plus 12 in the calculator. Okay? And please hear me very clearly. I know one student did this right here. I saw this time and time again on our tests and the other assessments that we've had recently. You've got to pay attention to this. Negative 15 plus 12 is negative 3. Okay? So that's all we're supposed to have. I just want us to be aware of that. Instead, we're supposed to have 3x minus 15 equals x plus 12. And here's another mistake I'm seeing students make. They are starting off pretty well. Negative 15 plus 15. Why am I doing that?
Because to get a 0.
To make it a 0. And then most of us are correctly adding 15 to the right-hand side as well to get 3x equals x plus 27. But then, I see some people doing this. Is that the next step?
No.
Why not?
Yeah, get rid of
You gotta get rid of
I cannot have the variable x on both sides to solve for x. Technically, if I do this, I just get x equals x plus 27 divided by 3. I can't have an x on both sides. What should I do instead?
Subtract x.
Subtract x to make a what?
0.
Right. Notice I added 15 to make a 0 with the constants on the left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract by x on the right-hand side to make a 0 so that 2x is equal to 27.
Well, we got that right.
Okay? And then the last step would be what?
Divide by 2x. Or 2.
Divide just by 2. Which that gives us with what answer? 13.5. Okay? Any questions at this point? Do we understand this a little bit better, hopefully? Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you, this is one of the things that will be on our understanding check tomorrow. If you did not remember we had an understanding check, this is my first time telling you again today, we have an understanding check tomorrow. What do you think might be on that understanding check?
Everything.
Angles.
Okay, so something about angles. What type of angles? Corresponding.
Exterior.
Alternate interior, alternate exterior, linear pairs, consecutive interior. So and then, linear pairs, right? Maybe adjacent. But the big thing is, you have to know those different names, but then you also need to know whether those kinds of angles are what or what.
Supplementary or congruent.
You gotta know that. Some of the questions will involve stuff like this, okay? Not many, but a couple of them, okay? So we probably need a little bit more practice with this before our understanding check tomorrow, yeah? For some of us at least. So, this is where we are picking up today. Actually, before that, the big ideas, questions, and I'm going to model a little bit for you what I'm expecting. This is the orange sheet that looks like this. The big ideas, it is due tomorrow. I told you all this last Friday.
I went here.
Okay, well then get it out. I mean, I gave it to y'all 2 weeks ago.
I went here.
You haven't been here at all for 2 weeks.
No, yeah, I'm just, but I went here that Friday.
I understand, but you should still have this sheet. Get it out.
You said that to us already?
Yes, I gave it to y'all a couple weeks ago. We took notes at on the very first day of this lesson about congruent and congruency and postulates and theorems. No, Matthew, look for it.
No, I got it. I need
Huh?
you to come over here and tell me.
What? Huh? We'll talk about that later. It depends on how hard you work. So, I'm looking around and I see some of us have some of this information down. Okay? But it looks like a lot of us have very blank sets of information, which is not a good time. That means you have a lot to write tonight. The one good thing is, by working through this tonight, that should help you prepare for your understanding check tomorrow. Does anyone not have a copy at all? Looks to me like you Googled some stuff.
How do you see that from?
Well, since we haven't covered skew lines, there's no way that you would be able to get the information on skew lines unless you Googled it. Yeah.
I'll send that somewhere.
Uh-huh. Yep.
It's only one sheet.
It's one sheet, front and back. Okay. I need y'all to hear me very quickly, or very clearly on this detail. The whole point of this, as a graphic organizer, is for you to go through your notes and to make sure you can write clearly about what ideas we need to know from here. Too often, we do not reflect upon the ideas that we have learned in class. Kelsey, am I talking?
Yes. I'm already asking for a pencil.
Maury, throw up a hand and ask. But I need us to not be talking while I'm talking. Kelsey, sorry for snapping at you, but at the same time, we need you paying attention. So, the whole point of this is that you go through your notes and you reflect upon the things you have learned. The more quickly you do this as we tackle lessons, the better you will remember these details. And the easier it'll be for you to learn these concepts. Because I think it's safe to say we have come into class before and we don't remember at all what we did the day before. Has that happened?
100 times.
A few times? A lot? All the time? It's because we don't think about what we did in class. Like as soon as we leave class, that's it. Bye, see you. Okay? This is going to help you reflect upon the things you've learned to help you understand it better. Okay? Which is why you need to start at the very beginning with which lesson, right? That is the first column, which lesson. So we should already have a good bit of notes about parallel lines. By the way, you can go ahead and scratch out skew lines. I decided not to cover those. Okay, so scratch out skew lines. We should already have a good bit about congruent or congruency. And at least for this lesson, I decided not to do postulates and theorems as well. We'll go into more details about this later, but we are severely behind. We should also have a good bit of information around under parallel lines, correct? We should already have a good bit written under parallel lines.
Oh,
Because
under.
no. Like within this section about parallel lines, we should have a good bit there. All right. So, to help you understand what I'm looking for, we're going to look at these three together. Parallel lines. What lessons could we reference to get information?
What do you
The
call it?
parallel line.
Nope,
Just notes in general, but which notes?
what's it called, the white.
Say again.
Parallel line.
So, say it a little bit louder.
The parallel line.
I hear you say parallel lines, but I don't, you're saying a word after that I can't hear.
No.
Notes? Just like separate notes that we took? Did I do separate notes on those? I thought we just put notes in here. Yeah. So maybe, but I believe, wasn't there a lesson on corresponding angles? Corresponding
Was that like last week?
alternate exterior or alternate interior? Alternate exterior. And I think it's a exterior. And it's a same side interior. Angles, right? So that was it was a really long thing, but that is a lesson we looked at that you can go back and find extra information about parallel lines. You should already have a good bit of notes, but that's somewhere else that you could look. And so the point of this is, hopefully, you are learning how to study to get ready for understanding checks and tests and all those things. Well, if you know, hey, I need to look at some more information about parallel lines, Matthew, are you paying attention, or are you sharing stuff with Ari and not paying attention?
No, it's just, I'm also paying attention.
You can go back to this lesson and look there. Yes, ma'am. Huh? Okay. Where can we find information about transversals? In our notes, what does that mean? The whole thing is which specific lesson?
Exploring, what's it called? Transversals or which one are we on? Exploring parallel lines.
Well, no, that was not a lesson.
Yes, it was.
No.
It was on our agenda, what's it called? Yeah, it was on our agenda.
Today,
No, like,
get out your notes. Get out the task we had done in class. Oh, exploring.
Yeah.
Where does it say anything about parallel lines?
Same side interior.
That does not say parallel lines. So I did miss one detail. Exploring corresponding. There we go. Alright? But that's my point. What Matthew did when he finally went to look at his notes, his lessons that we looked at, there was information there. That's what you want to do, is go back to those tasks. So where are we going to see information about transversals?
Exploring.
Which set of notes?
Activity 2, exploring. Corresponding interior.
It's
Same thing.
same one, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you could, and I will say this, do you want to write that whole thing again?
No.
No, but if you wrote down see the above lesson, one, I'm aware that you looked at that lesson and you knew that information was there. Two, if you were to look at this later to study, would you know where to look?
Yes.
Yes, right? This is supposed to be a way to help you study for understanding checks, tests, and to hold on to and to learn from forevermore. So see the above lesson. Alright? Now, we don't have anything written for this one yet, so I want to go ahead and write some information. So, Ari, what could you tell me about transversals?
They go through two parallel.
Okay. This is the line that, and you probably would say that goes through two parallel lines. What's a more mathematical way to say that though?
Intersect.
Not cuts through, intersects, right? This is the line that intersects two parallel lines. Technically, they don't have to be parallel, but the relationships we care about, they're always going to be parallel, right? So this is the line that intersects two parallel lines. So, does this perfectly explain everything, though? Explains it pretty well, but what could I draw here to help it be better explained?
Two parallel lines, and then a transversal going through it.
So could I do two parallel lines?
Yes.
Alright, so how would I show that these two lines are parallel?
Because they have
Triangles.
triangles.
The triangles, okay?
Yup,
So those two lines are parallel.
yup,
And then I've got a line intersecting through. Let's call this L, M, and N.
OP.
Okay? So how would I indicate that L and M are parallel? What symbol would I draw?
Two lines.
Like two lines like this?
It wouldn't line up with the top.
Look at the wave.
Yeah,
No,
look,
it's,
yeah.
it's the other way. It's the equal sign but turn. Oh,
Okay, first off, what is this sign?
congruent.
That's congruent. I'm not saying the lines are congruent.
Where L
Which
with
is a
two
line?
lines.
Oh, you count them in a box.
Alright, kind of looks like you're saying like that. Going up and down.
Yeah.
Those lines look what?
Parallel.
That means parallel, right? Those two lines look parallel, it means parallel. Okay? L is parallel to M, and N is the transversal, or line N. Does that more clearly help you see and understand what the transversal is? The better your notes are, the better your big idea sheet is, the better you're going to understand what's happening and what you need to know for your understanding checks. So take good notes on these things. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, same. I don't know. Oh, actually, I do know. So it doesn't look like a 1. That's actually a good question from Rose, if you didn't hear. She asked, why do I always use a cursive L? And it's so that it doesn't look like a 1. It's been a while since I thought about that, because I've done it for so long, but yeah, it's so that it doesn't look like a 1. That's the reason why if you ever look at my T's, I never draw a T like this, because what does that look like? A plus sign. So if you look at my T's, it's got a little hook to it at the bottom. Because T makes a lot of sense for the variable of time and things, but I don't. Stay after class.
What?
So, transversals. Moving on to alternate interior angles. What lesson can we look at for this?
Same one.
Same one? Okay.